of the company Ripple is becoming true, and be happy because in this long journey, an important milestone is going to be reached in 2021.
We're discussing the emergence of new partnerships and business models. It's very interesting. Obviously,
So, as it is said in the beginning of these discussions, they are discussing about new partnerships.
For example, we won't build on distributed ledger technology, but we've done some work, proof of concepts, to ensure that if in the future players using DLT want to connect to us, they can. So I think we need to be there, horizon scanning with...
The central banker from Bank of England is stating this. So, the scientific investor family is already familiar with Bank of England and the proof of concept with Ripple. So the connection towards Ripple is clear. If anyone come and say, they didn't mention Ripple, there is no connection, please help me out, because I don't actually want to respond to those idiots who don't even watch the entire content and state this. Now about the new system being implemented in the next 18 months.
We're also working to think what might be needed in the next few years. So, for example, in the new system, we're going to introduce capability to be 24/7. We're also looking at things, for example, synchronized payments that could make cross-border easier. So we see the core infrastructure as an enabler. We want to be as ready as the industry. We've decided.
So that means a new system is being implemented, and the infrastructure is the enabler here for synchronized payments and all the cross-border payments. Now that is actually huge news. Now if you still have doubt, still want clarity, listen to this.
There's a huge change, as we talked about in chapter 1, in terms of the infrastructure level. There's obviously big reasons behind that. Simon, I was going to turn to you first. How is this new infrastructure really enabling a more vibrant economy?
The UK is a very rich developing economy anyway. There's a lot of innovation that's taking place, and some of the infrastructure changes that we talked about earlier are coming down the pipe. But we are already in an environment where we've got open banking live. I think that's going to drive a lot of innovation before we even get to the new infrastructure. The infrastructure will provide interoperability, it'll provide standards, and it'll provide a lot more richness of data. But
so first thing, they itself mentions a huge change in the infrastructure, and the second thing, the new infrastructure provides interoperability, provides standards, and provides richness of data. Wow, that should be a wow moment for the entire XRP community. Now that is not the end here. If we actually listen here, we will get more excited about these.
Economy.
We have of the order of about 46 countries around the world where they're either live on faster payments or they're getting onto these real-time payment platforms in the next 18 months. And what we're seeing there is that this is digitizing an awful lot of the payments and receivables business in those countries. Definitely there's a lot of interest from regulators in those countries that see it as a massive benefit to their own internal economy. What we see is our customers using that functionality in the first hand, maybe to remove cash out of the process they do, but it massively improves their own efficiency if they can know they get instantly paid. They know who's paying them, they know where they're being paid in relation to that. So we're seeing some very interesting business models.
So here, 46 countries are getting on this journey. And how many central banks and monetary authorities are actually working with Ripple? We know that, right? Now, the background is being changing. The infrastructure is being laid out, and new business models are actually rising, and they actually the regulators see the benefit for their economy by implementing this new infrastructure, which is interoperable with all other nodes in the world. So let's move on to the application being built on this new infrastructure. And before that being explained, this is something which Brad stated previously. Now, if you listen to this carefully, you'll actually understand a connection between what we heard previously and this one.
But I think globally it's been more positive, right? The UK government has been clear around their designation that XRP is not a security, more of a utility token. The Japanese government has been clear, the Singaporean government. So look, I think the macro trend line is very positive here, but I do think that the US can continue to spend time on this and provide leadership around it.
So what we heard here is from the UK central banker stating that we are already working with this new infrastructure and innovation is actually happening. You don't actually need much reading through the lines to understand the game plan. Just focus what we are talking here in the scientific investor family. Now, Michael actually sent me this, Ripple's head of global banking stated this in the interview, like they actually met Brazilian central bank and they actually talked about this, that is the crypto friendly, right? So it is actually going to open a new corridor there. That means within the new infrastructure, the implementation of new applications like, say for example, remittance or any other cross-border payments to that particular corridor using XRP is an entire change to the existing infrastructure. Now in this one, you can actually see that what we talked here previously many times is being reflected here. China's economic power and others' collective influence and power to actually suppress that. So that is kind of economic war going on there. So whenever if someone states that this coin has 80%, 60% mining power which comes from China, you should be actually careful when you are going to invest in that, because in the new infrastructure, if the world is going to jump in that, it's gonna be really bad. Now why I show this, if you actually see here at the bottom, I don't think it's readable for you guys, but I'll read it out. I think being domiciled in the United States, being a real company and being so determined to comply the law and to do right things the right way has a huge benefit for Ripple. And I really agree with that. Being domiciled in United States give them a lot more advantage. That's from Am Legion. I completely agree with his statement. A storm is coming. If you understand this, you have that brains. Otherwise, you don't even have that balls. Because these companies, huge, giant players, are entering for a reason. They're not just entering to, waste their time and resources. Instead, they are here to build about the new infrastructure. When I say the new infrastructure, always think it is being talked about ILP, because that will be the base of new monetary system. Fundamental change in the entire finance industry is actually waving around us. If we can say this now, that will be the best opportunity in next 10-20 years. Couple of decades will actually pass by if we don't actually take proper investing decision. Why I show you about gold. Now we all know that central banks are hoarding gold. Okay, understood that. But if you look at the entire gold market, what you can see is there are limitations for its mining power. So yes, the supply is not fixed. We can actually get as much as we need, but at not that time we need. It takes time to mine gold out from earth, right? So that is where this comes into play, because now when hyperinflation is going to kick in, recessionary period is going to go, and the entire economy around the globe will be going into a depressive phase, economic depression, and at that time hyperinflation will be kicking in and people will be looking at safe haven assets. Now when we see this, keep in mind this is being rolled out for that. Because if you have a card which is for, say for example, if you have XRP in a wallet, you can use that for transactions. Say you're going to a coffee shop, you can use that. Yeah, you can actually use ETH, BTC, everything. Just the matter is never go and buy something hot, because once the payment is confirmed, you'll have to go to a microwave and reheat it. So that's gonna be bad. Anyway, once this is there, then you don't even have to think about the hyperinflation which is affecting your currency. Because say for example, dollar is going low, and XRP, obviously if you're looking in the dollar terms, it will be having higher price valuation. So at that point you can directly use XRP for your purchase, because it's just 3 seconds. That's like, it won't actually get better in any other blockchain network, because you need the interoperability to connect through all different merchants, all across the globe. So that is where it's actually happening. At the same time, you can also see that new guys are actually coming in, joining Ripple network to use this new technology, because they know that this technology built on the distributed ledger will be changing everything. And as we change into a new infrastructure, keep this in mind, the new ISO standard is here, and Ripple and customers using Ripple is pioneers on that, because we already knew that on DLT based ISO 20022, Ripple is the first one to be there, and that given standards is the best thing for regulators to look upon and to change this. When the new cross-border payments infrastructure is laid out, keep this in mind, that will be the standard. And we all used to say Ripple the standard, right? I mean XRP is Ripple, right? So Ripple the standard, that will be the case all around. So if you believe in this technology or not, as an investor, you should look at an asset which has that appreciating power. And looking at this, we can actually understand that there is that power. Banking institutions, say central bankers, are now coming out and showing positive side towards this. Even JP Morgan is stating that there is staying power in BTC, meaning this asset class is being recognized, first thing. And the second thing, there are fools who used to say, Bitcoin is going to zero. You heard it here first. So that kind of guys, I don't know whether they are holding Bitcoin in the background and stating this in the forefront, but if you really believe what you are saying, then you should actually first look at the information being put out, and second, to which direction the money is flowing. Because if you want to make money, you need to be in the direction of the cash flow. That's how you make money. So here, the guy is actually stating, interestingly, is looking for decentralized networks in general. Say he cited Bitcoin, Ether, and XRP in particular to solve many problems hindering more than 1,000 financial institutions. Wow. So if you are looking at that, and Swift, yes, Swift has around 11,000 financial institutions with them, but looking at another 1,000, which is moving into a new infrastructure soon enough, is a change. Because if you see here, as for the global payment system, Swift says the 3 days required to send money from US to Europe is too slow. And when you are looking to do that, now you can see that there is a corridor which is already open from US to Euro, that is dollar to Euro, in Ripple, right? So in Ripple we trust because they have the regulations set. So if you look at Bank of England or European Central Bank, they have already been working with Ripple from a long time, and now for US they are getting on board like crazy, right? They are fastening everything, so it's gonna be a rough ride. Now when using this payment technology, say for example where they can actually can't understand where the payment is going, how it is actually coming in, that is where the proper regulated Ripple net-like chains come into play. And then this one, so one is that utility perspective which we used to talk, and the second thing is the investment perspective, because the investors who are going to come in through these exchanges, say Fidelity, Buck and all, they're going to be huge, and they are coming in because they understand the value of this. At least these custodians are here because they understand that this technology is here to stay, and this asset class will be the future. So as we talk about the future, we should understand this is changing to something and everything which will be instantaneous, and at that particular point you need something interoperable to change from one ledger to another, one company to another, to change or exchange value from where you're sitting, say your mobile wallet or anything, and then towards the other ledger. And as we talked about, ISO 20022 is developed for the standardization, and in this new standardization you can see that all the financial institutions should be able to communicate with each other like this. How? To enable communication and interoperability among all global financial organizations. Keep that in mind. Currently, these are through SWIFT. Keep that in mind. All global financial organizations should be communicating in an interoperability way. The interoperability should be there between every financial organization. So that is like what we stated in previous video from Ethan, that's all money, right? Now I'll change that into all assets, because even the exchange of value for assets is being conducted through financial organizations. So that is a huge market, not only the payment but also the asset market. So being an investor, looking at these changes, you should be more than happy that you are already here in this when the price is so low. Now that price is so low is actually directly pointing towards all coins. Mainly for me, it's XRP and XLM precisely being talked about, because these are some assets which are actually being highlighted in government level documents about the future asset class, about the future technology and the new infrastructure. So I'm here. I'm happy to invest in this and continue to accumulate the asset as much as possible when the price level is so low.